and watched as all her personal rights were stripped from her, and she was put in prison, and she was grabbed and forcibly stuck with a needle, all without knowing what was going on, and horrified as 8 police officers and staff sat around and laughed and thought that it was funny.
Well, and this is training police to be medical officers for forced inoculations, for quarantines, for extracting DNA. Did you know for 36 years in the United States, England, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, it's an international secret agreement, now declassified. It's been in the Austin American-Statesman. Blood is taken secretly at birth from babies and put in a DNA database. I guess they're guilty of drunk driving, too?
I haven't heard that. I'd love to read something about it.
This is a larger program to get medicalized police out there at checkpoints, and now you got your kids with you. Now they take you to jail for not wearing seatbelts in Austin and in surrounding areas and CPS your kids for you not wearing a seatbelt, even if it's in your neighborhood, and then they take your kids on the spot and then try to keep them.
That's news to me.
Did you hear about the $15 million fines for selling anything with lead in it or that's been recalled at a garage sale?
No, I haven't yet.
I'm not kidding. Guys, pull up the Fox News article. It's also AP. Absolutely. Feds take... In fact, I covered it last night. It's here in my stack. Well, tell us about your website, ohmygov.com.
Sure. ohmygov is a government news provider that sort of exposes the good and bad that's happening within the federal workforce and the federal government. We have a very specific focus of trying to find the things that work and the things that are broken. This particular story obviously fits into the latter category of things that are broken. And we have a little bit of a humorous bent to keep things moving along at a slightly faster pace. But some of the issues that we come across are certainly less than funny, and I think this one fits that category.
Well, where is this going? I mean, from your research and perspective, I predict they won't even stop taking blood warrantlessly at checkpoints, because I've seen other state rulings in Arizona previously over the years, and they don't stop, and they've expanded taking blood.
Well, I think the problem, or the core of the problem, goes back to 1966, in which the Supreme Court ruling deemed it constitutional so long as the blood draw was based on probable cause and that the suspect was, in fact, intoxicated, that it was done after the arrest and that it was executed in a medically approved manner. Problem is, all of those things are really pushed to the envelope of their definition. What is a medically approved manner? In this case,
and the doctors and nurses have been refusing to take the blood without a warrant, and so how can it be medically approved? Is a police officer now a medically degreed MD?
Of course not, and they go through a week and a half of training for this. And anyone who's been to the hospital or even a doctor's office and had a blood draw knows that a nurse with 15 years of experience might still stick you 3, 4, 5 times before they grab a vein. Now, this is someone who's been training for a week and a half. How apt are they actually going to be on all the different procedures, on the latest techniques in keeping the needles clean and properly labeling your blood samples so that when it goes off to the lab, comes back for analysis? Oh,
yeah, these are the police, famous for framing people. I wonder if I can go to the police to get my appendix out now, since they're medical doctors.
Well, it might be cheaper if the federal government is funding it, right?
Mr. Einhorn. Here's the article. New government policy imposes strict standards on garage sales. Violators caught selling anything on the enormous list face fines of up to $100,000 per infraction, up to $15 million for a related series of infractions, 2 years in prison. How's that sound?
No, it sounds terrible. It's sort of more of the same, on the same token here. The stuff keeps coming out, and I think I sort of wonder where it originates. On the back of someone's brain, it's a good idea, but along the way, there should be a number of people that stand up and tell them that this is not right, that this is unconstitutional, that this is simply a bad idea, that this is going to be problematic, and ultimately this is going to make you look foolish as the story comes out.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Einhorn, we appreciate your work at ohmygov.com, and anytime you got anything you think's interesting, email us or send your story over. We'll link to it. And we appreciate you going on Russia Today and speaking out against this. The Russians are more free than us in many respects now. But the good news is, I think the people are starting to really wake up that we're in trouble and that a serious police state's being set up by the feds and the private corporations that have taken over the federal government. Do you see people starting to wake up, or what's your take on that?
I certainly see a lot more people getting involved in government and getting more active and following and tracking the various stories that are happening. But I think that there's still a degree of naivete among people, that they don't really realize that sometimes people's personal interests are not put the same level as those interests on the national level or political interests. And despite scandal after scandal, we see a lot of faith still remains in the hands of those with the power, and sometimes if that power is unchecked, problems will arise.
Yeah, it certainly would, so we better get fired up and serious about it. Andrew Einhorn, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate your time.
You bet. Take care, buddy. All right, I'm going to cover flu. I want to hear from police. I want to hear from military. I want to hear from that fellow whose wife's a nurse here in Texas at Seton saying you got to take the shot or you're fired. I thought Lord Obama said nobody has to take it. If he tells you one thing, it's the other.